everyone, welcome back to Law Study Kid. I'm Rabia. I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm also the founder of Law Study Kid, where I sell sample questions and answers for NCA exams in Canada. In today's video, I'd like to talk about whether you should get an exemption for articling. And what I'll do is I will present to you two sides. One, what are the benefits of getting an exemption? And then the second side is what are some of the drawbacks of getting an exemption? And then in the end, I will tell you my personal opinion based on my own experiences as to whether you should get an exemption or not. But again, just remember that it is my personal experience and it is my personal opinion. You can have a different opinion than me, and that's completely fine. People come from different, experiences, and they have different circumstances. So not everything that I say might be applicable to you, but, this will definitely give you an idea as to, what are benefits and drawbacks, and then you can kind of make your own decision. So let me start by talking a little bit about what articling is and to explain to you some details that are necessary in order to understand this video. So articling or the law practice program, both of them are training components of the lawyer licensing process in Ontario. So every law student has to complete training under a lawyer so that they can learn what the actual practice of law looks like and get that practical experience in order to ensure that students are prepared to be lawyers once they're called to the bar. So it is mandatory that everyone completes this eight-month training component. Again, either you can article or you can do the law practice program. I've done videos on this. You can browse my channel to understand the difference. So what happens for internationally trained lawyers is that some lawyers have years and years of experience in their own country. So, for example, let's take an example from a country, for example, Pakistan, that's where I'm originally from. If somebody has 5 to 6 years of experience in Pakistan as a lawyer, they can come to Canada and apply for an NC assessment, and once they're done their exams, they can seek an exemption from articling. So they can put in an application saying, look, I have such years and years of experience, and I don't want to article or get that training because I've already got that training in a different jurisdiction, so I don't need it here. And so sometimes what the NCA will do is they will exempt you from articling, and they'll say, we believe you. We can see that you have tons of experience, so you don't need to article. Or sometimes what they'll do is they'll be like, okay, so you've had X amount of years, we'd like you to maybe article for 2 months as opposed to 8 months or do the law practice program. So they will cut down the time that you need to do the training. So this is what an exemption means. You seek an exemption, you don't get it, you have to apply for an exemption, and if the NCA is like, we can see that you've got a lot of experience. Sorry, that's somebody out. So we can see that you have a lot of experience, and so you don't need to article, and we believe you that you have all the skills needed to become a lawyer in Canada. So now let's talk about the benefits of seeking an exemption, and then I'll move on to talking about what are some of the drawbacks of getting an exemption. So what are some of the benefits? The benefits of seeking an exemption is that, first of all, you save time. You will get called to the bar a year before other people who will have to do that training component. So you cannot get called to the bar before you fulfill all of these requirements. But if you, for example, seek an exemption, you don't have to wait that year to be called to the bar. You seek an exemption, you finish your NCA exams, you finish your bar exams, and boom, you get called to the bar. So you save time. And you can use that time to, work as a lawyer, or you can use that time to, maybe start your own practice. I don't know, whatever you'd like to do. But the first advantage I would say would be that you save 1 year of your time and you get called to the bar a little bit early. To be very honest, that's the only advantage that I could think of. That you save time, you get called to the bar a little bit early. And I think it kind of, it's the same thing. You're saving time, you're becoming a lawyer sooner than later. And you start working as a lawyer if you're able to secure a job, or you can start your own practice. That's the only advantage that I can think of. Maybe there are others, I don't know. But if you do know some others, just please link it down below. I don't know if you're gonna necessarily save cost, because articling and the training component is paid, so you're making money. So I don't know about that, but for me, I think that the most significant benefit of seeking an exemption is time. Saving time, becoming a lawyer sooner, and that's it. Moving on to some of the drawbacks. First of all, which is a very big drawback in my opinion, is that you're losing out on Canadian experience. When you practice law in a different jurisdiction, you're used to those norms, work culture, and I don't know, just you're used to working in a different environment as opposed to working in a Canadian legal environment. Some people are okay with it, you know, some people come from like countries where the working environment is very similar, so you know, maybe it's not a drawback for them. But I think that, you know, having the training and the learning in Canada can be very beneficial. So one of the drawbacks, like I said, is just losing out on Canadian experience. You're losing out on maybe networking a little bit. When you do work as a student, you're exposed to different opportunities. And then I think that you're also losing out on doing other things. For example, when you go to a law firm, rather than just practicing law, you learn the business. You learn where business is coming from. You learn how to handle a business. So I think that it's very important that you learn these things in different jurisdictions. And people can disagree. I've had some people who have been very successful in seeking an exemption and also landing very good positions. So again, I feel like it's everyone's opinion. This is just mine. So one drawback would be that you're losing out on Canadian experience. The second drawback, like I said, and I've kind of tied it down to the first one, is that, you know, work culture. Work culture is different in different countries. And, you know, if you don't go through this rigorous training, you might miss out on work culture, getting to know how things are done in Canada. And so I personally think that, you know, that plays a big role in learning. So I think that's something that you might lose on. Third drawback that I would say is losing out on money. Articling students get paid. Law practice program students also get paid. So, and again, this is a little bit controversial. Some people don't, and maybe I can talk about this in another video. But right now, for the most part, most people get paid. So, for example, you're losing out on income too, potentially. Sometimes when you do graduate as a foreign trained lawyer, your job prospects might not look that great. People might not be willing to hire you because you don't have Canadian experience. So then you might have to wait a couple of months to find a job, or maybe wait a couple of months to start your own practice, whatever it is. But I think that if you do article, or if you do start the law practice program, you do get paid. So that's also something that might be a drawback. Now, moving on to the last bit, which is my personal opinion. So I'll tell you my personal opinion, and I'm going to tie it down to my story, and everybody's story is different. So, you know, I have learned a lot working in Canada. I have worked different jobs. I have done different types of jobs, not just legal, but I've done other types of jobs and I've said this in a lot of my videos, that I was a summer camp counselor where I was teaching young minor children, like 4 years old, just being their summer camp counselor, and I learned so many skills there. Then I did work as a barista, where I was serving coffee and making coffee, and I learned a lot of skills there as well. And so then I did a lot of legal work as well. I worked as a legal assistant. I work at a legal tech startup. So I find that Canadian experience has helped me a lot everything that I am today. And all of my confidence, my skills, the ability that I communicate, I learned through working with people here through my jobs. So to me, seeking an exemption would just be, in my personal opinion, I would never ever advise anybody to seek an exemption just because you learn so much. As a student, as a trainee, there's so many things that you learn. If you come into a new country, you have to make the effort to kind of understand how things work. And I'm not saying that you have to forget who you are. Don't ever do that, but just to learn. That's all I'm saying. If you learn and you're like, I don't like this too much, and I'm gonna do things my way, feel free to do that. But you don't know what you like or you dislike until and unless you actually go through it. So in my personal opinion, the amount of training that I've gotten in Canada through my past experiences is phenomenal, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me putting myself out there and doing all these different jobs and getting the experience, getting the training. And I've given this example to a lot of people, and I'll give it here as well. And this might be more applicable to people, for example, who are starting out as opposed to people who have a lot of experience. So when I used to work as a barista, I remember that, I didn't understand a lot about Canadian currency. And when I was working as a barista, I used to handle a lot of cash at the time. And, one time there's a customer who came in and he gave me a $20 bill. And he's like, can I get 2 dimes, 5 toonies, 1 nickel, and 1, I guess, toonie? And I'm like, what? I'm like, what the hell is a toonie? I understood what a loonie and a toonie is. Loonie is $1 coin, and a toonie is a $2 coin. I think I got it right, but maybe I think that's it. And then a dime and a nickel. God knows what a dime or a nickel is. I had absolutely no idea what a dime or a nickel is. And then I'm like, oh, what do you mean by a dime or a nickel? And he's like, can you give me a dime? And I'm like, and he's like, a $10 coin. And I'm like, oh, okay. So very, very small example. But just to put it out there, I learned that not $10, like 10 cent. A 10 cent is known as a dime, and a 5 cent is known as a nickel. And I did not know that. How would I know that? Because I haven't lived in Canada. So small things you learn from getting the Canadian experience. So in my opinion, and you don't have to listen to me. You can do whatever you like. People come from different, circumstances. Sometimes they don't have a choice. So I understand that. But from my experiences, I would not recommend getting an exemption. But if you have to, and if you have no other choice, please do it. It's entirely up to you. Thanks guys for watching. I hope that this video was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.